So, this is something many of you might not have noticed about me yet, but I am a nerd about almost anything and everything concerning art and music and the creative mind in general. Numbers, however, are not my strong suit, but I digress. Because, as in so much else, I am a nerd about magic and history, about real world cults and religions and spiritual practices. My very kind childhood has afforded me the opportunity to come to my own understanding of the universe and how I believe things work, shall we say. Informed but not limited to my surroundings in rural Indiana. And I do think my perception of things has, in some ways, influenced my writing. And I think for the better, because magic, real magic, whether that that be believed in or not, makes 99% of all stories just better, in my opinion. Don't believe me? Let's talk about something somewhat out of the blue. Adventure Time. Adventure Time, because of all the bright colors and the wacky teenage boy and his magic talking dog, uh, you might be forgiven for thinking is a kid show about fighting monsters and saving the day and being all heroic and everything. But it's only partly that, and that is a small part of it, because Adventure Time by the end is exploring themes not only of losing the ones you love, of coming to terms with who you are and accepting that not all people can be saved, but also themes of reality, of religion, of good and evil, and if might truly makes right. It's some really heavy stuff, very intellectual, and presented in such a way that children can't get enough of it. And I honestly, I firmly believe that if more kids watched Adventure Time instead of like, I don't know, some more brain rot, shall we say, then perhaps all of humanity's problems would have been solved by now. And all the while, as we delve into the world of Adventure Time, the land of Oo, as we discover this world that has been destroyed and corrupted and remade by humanity's own ignorance and lust for power, we are also haunted by characters like Golb, the Destroyer, the end of all things, the avatar of chaos. Golb, who is this veritable elder god, and seemingly inspired not only by characters such as Azathoth from H.P. Lovecraft's work, right, the blind idiot god, the Daemon Sultan, but also seemingly inspired by characters like the Gnostic Demiurge and the Zoroastrian the Angra Mainyu, I think is what they call it. But sorry if I got that wrong. I'm just going off the top of my head here. Um, but meanwhile, sorry, I couldn't help myself. Meanwhile, the ever pleasant Peppermint Butler is, and I cannot stress this enough, canonically a practitioner of ceremonial magic in the vein of real world magician and the supposedly the wickedest man in the world, Aleister freaking Crowley. He's summoning the demon Ogdoad into the body of a captured candy person so he can barter for the key to the Shadow Realm. Ogdoad, by the way, is a reference to Gnosticism, so there is that. Um, and you might be wondering where I'm going with this, and allow me to explain. I didn't know any of those references at first. I didn't get it at first. Um, but it, if a story incorporates really any sort of symbolism and and subtext into into its narrative, I am almost immediately on board, or at least you've got my interest. And we enter a realm, I think, in which the viewer, reader, player, what have you, is able to interact with this media on multiple different levels. We are able to debate and research the work in question, looking for clues that might help us better understand the fiction created. It elevates the work, I think. I mean, imagine Silent Hill without its own patented brand of Jungian psychology and chaos magic and Satanism. Or imagine Jacob's Ladder without the haunting imagery and infernal symbolism, right? Or Over the Garden Wall without Dante's Inferno. Or what about Dark Souls, for that matter? And the fact that if you cut the freaking series, it bleeds Gnosticism, alchemy, and some blend of Norse mythology. I mean, seriously, the primordial serpents and the abyss and whatnot are kind of a dead giveaway, but again, I digress. What we see in these works is a simple fact that I think I've known for a long time, and that is that harvesting something from the real world, something people actually believe or did years ago, and making it your own, uh, with the inclusion of candy people or cowboys or time travel, whatever, it is sort of a great way to add depth to the world space you've created, and to add a bit of mystery as well. I am obsessed with stories that do this, and I haven't even mentioned Twin Peaks yet. Twin Peaks, which took the Black Lodge and the White Lodge from Aleister Crowley, alongside numerous demons and magic rituals, and literally an enchanted ring, which allegedly belonged to Crowley himself, at least in the fiction of Twin Peaks. And they also added, the terrifying Silent Hill-esque Day and a dancing man who talks backwards, and David Bowie for good measure. And they created one of the most beautiful and terrible and terrifying surrealist works to date as a result. Rest in peace, David Lynch. Your presence as a filmmaker, if nothing else, the human race did not deserve, really. But we do need more stories like this, and it does look like we're getting them finally. I mean, not every story needs to be a very intellectual, magical experience, but I'm glad that we're getting more of them. Because Robert Eggers isn't done making movies, that's for sure. And his Nosferatu, which I did a video on a while back, and it included some incredible references to occultism and medieval literature and folklore. Most notably, it made reference to the Solaminari, who were like I guess, sort of a cult, I guess, of wolf dragon wizards from Transylvania and medieval Wallachia, which is some neat stuff, really. And I'm definitely not doing it justice here, let me tell you. But I think you might be starting to see a bit of what I mean. If if your story is already good or even decent, and you kind of want to add some depth to it, and if you want to make the intellectuals love it for free, to engage with your writing in a real and very remarkable way, I would suggest adding a bit of magic, e- even if your story isn't directly dealing with the supernatural. Such symbolism can be a powerful thing. Um, I don't think it can hurt, really, and if done with all the respect it deserves, I think it can only be used for to enhance a work of media, and I personally can only aspire to such greatness in symbolism and magic as Adventure Time. And I'm not even joking. I mean, you should probably watch it if you haven't already. I mean, if you're a fan of weird, existentially terrifying works of seemingly harmless media, then you can do a lot worse than Adventure Time. Yeah. So, bye.